Ripken seeking knowledge. What knowledge have you learned, Cal? What have you learned about these kids? Kids everywhere love baseball, I guess.
Well, maybe you came here seeking knowledge. No, I knew it was going to be a learning experience, and one that we're familiar with in teaching baseball, and we're falling back into our systems of teaching, but didn't know what the environment was going to be. We've got good feel for it now. The coaches clinic was a little challenging, trying to communicate through an interpreter. It's 2 or 3 times as long as normal. And I found out that the coaches were a little hesitant to participate. They didn't have the confidence, and they didn't want to embarrass themselves. So they sent their best coaches up to actually do some of the demonstrations and the drills. We hope to bring them into a more learning experience. The kids' clinic was something that turned out to be really nice, because you're able to communicate through drills and through actions and demonstrations or whatever else a whole lot easier. And the kids were really good with their tools yesterday. And it was clear that the coach that came in to our camp had put to use those things that we had taught them in our camps. And the kids have been drilled. You know, I wanted to take those kids yesterday and say, hey, these are the kids we need for a DVD, because they've taken literally all the things we've said and executed to almost perfection. They would be a nice showcase for our DVD.
Well, they may have no bad habits, right? I mean, maybe they weren't untaught the wrong things, which I guess we all played on a playground. I mean, you were lucky to have your dad, but some of us probably didn't get quite the same advice that you were getting when you were a kid.
Well, that's a really good point, because it is almost a clean piece of paper. Whatever you say, they're doing exactly, with no fighting back and saying, well, my dad said this, or my mom said that, or my pitching coach, you know, at 8 years old, said he wants me to do this for this reason. Right now, they were very receptive to anything that we were teaching, and they tried it exactly the way that we wanted them to, and it was amazing to watch.
I've been around you for the better part of 20 years, but I've only seen you really interact with adults. And I knew you loved baseball when I saw you hitting fungos on the back lot in Fort Lauderdale when it's 50 degrees at 6:30 in the morning. But to see you with these kids, the thing that's been impressed upon me is you're famous, you're the Hall of Famer and all that stuff, but you, deep down, you love baseball. And I know there were a lot of teammates of yours that maybe didn't love it the same way. It was a job to them, and maybe it felt like a job to you then. You're clearly here because you choose to be here, and I think you had more fun than the kids, especially the poor kids yesterday.
Well, I think in many ways I say this in jest sometimes, saying, look, I'm a kid at heart, and I want to have fun just the way that you do. You tap into that love of the game of baseball. I guess when you go all the way to the highest levels, sometimes it is looked upon with the pressures and all that kind of stuff as a job. And sometimes you have to break through that feeling and reunite yourself with that feeling you had when you were a kid. And by working with kids, you're allowed to do that. It takes you back to times when you learned the game, and all the times that you used to practice throwing balls off the wall, or that quick ball game that we have. The creativity that we had playing games of baseball and kind of crossing other sports in there. I remember taking a hockey stick and shooting a hockey stick at a goal, and we invented the strike zone was the goal. And you had to bat in your hand or whatever else and had to hit it before it went into the strike zone. So we were combining hockey and baseball. So in a long-winded way, we like to tap into the fun, we like to learn the game, we like to have kids smile. And so far, we've been very successful at doing that.
You were doing your tape ball in the locker room.
When we lost 21 in a row at the start of that season, there was no fun to be had playing on the field. And tape ball, I don't think was invented in the big leagues, but we certainly stayed back in the locker room and made up our tape balls and went out and played after everybody had left the Metrodome and whatever else, and we had a sense of purpose once again that said, hey, this is fun after all. And I think that was part of the healing process in that 0-21.
A lot of critics may say, yeah, you're over here, yeah, it's nice you're doing this, but is there any lasting effect? I mean, I talked to an Olympic Committee person that said, you know, you can come over here all you want. These Chinese people play table tennis, they're not going to play baseball, and that's the end of that. What is your feeling about that? Because I feel like if you really believe deep down you're wasting your time, you wouldn't have gotten on a plane to come over here.
No, I mean, I think if you're looking to have results immediately, which is a very short-term view, then you're going to be disappointed. But if you believe in the sport, and you believe that if you plant the seeds here and there, and you kind of relate to the kids at a young level, if they start to grab it and put it into their routines and put it into their hearts that they love the sport, then as it goes, 20 years from now, then you'll have something. And again, I'm not here for an immediate effect, and I'm not here for public relations or anything like that. I do believe in the game. It is a part about growing the game worldwide. And means you have to put your time in, you have to plant the seeds in the areas, and I think the seed over here will grow.
Now, I've seen your videos, and I made a Tom Amansky joke yesterday. I know Bill loves that, but how often do you really get down on your hands and knees with kids and show them fielding techniques the way I saw you? I mean, I felt privileged. I mean, I'm a fan of yours first and foremost, and over the last 20 years watching you play, and I know you have DVDs and that sort of thing, but how often do you physically go and do that with kids? Because it looked like something you were born to do. Aside from being a Hall of Famer and all that other stuff, it looked like teaching baseball should be what you should be doing.
Well, I think if you looked at how we spend our time, Billy probably does it 3 times as much as I do right now, because that's his operational sort of responsibility. I guess I have some broader responsibilities in which to go create public-private partnerships and create starters. So there's only so much you can do with your time. But when we started this, Billy had retired first. Dad was sitting around, and we wanted to bring his baseball school back into Aberdeen in some way. So we started teaching baseball around. We all have it in us. And I think when you got a glove on your hand, you're at most home. You're most comfortable, not like a suit, not being in a Chamber of Commerce meeting per se, but when you have a glove on your hand, communicating what you know. And Dad was the Encyclopedia of Baseball. You know, he put that into us. We learned a little bit more through our experiences. Billy has a great rapport. He has a way to communicate and smile and laugh and teach. And he continues to develop those sort of teaching techniques. But you know, we're at home when we're on a baseball field and we have a glove on our hands. And I'm glad that you notice it. I'm glad it shows.
It's unbelievable.
And I'm glad, to me, it's gratifying to see the kids on the other side. I now fully understand that the dad was turned on mostly by turning the light bulb on in a kid, seeing confidence, seeing a smile, seeing him do something and have success. And it's just a small success. Baseball's hard, hitting is hard, but it's very gratifying when you do hit the ball, how it makes you feel.
I talked to you before we came about expectations. You said you really didn't have any. You didn't think about it a whole lot. You were just going to do, not think. What, for the people back in Baltimore, and I've been filming all this stuff, and we're going to put it all together, all the stuff, you on your hands and knees teaching these kids, the expectation for you versus the reality for the people back at home in Baltimore, and what they could have expected from China, because most people watching this video are never going to make it here to see what we saw with the chickens and the dogs yesterday back on that little field in the rural hills of Beijing.
Well, I guess it was me saying I didn't have great expectations because there was a bit of an unknown. But certainly there was an experience and a known entity when you actually do quickball. When you have a bunch of kids and you're actually playing fast-paced quickball, really a fancy version of wiffle ball. You know what's going to happen because we've done it with inner city kids, we've done it out in our complex, we've done it everywhere.
It's universal, makes everybody smile.
It's universal, absolutely right. So there was a understanding and an expectation in a general sort of way for baseball. But we don't know what the facilities were, we didn't know what the communication issues were going to be, and I think we've learned a little bit in this first stop, in the first city, and we'll apply those things to the next two. But I'm happy to say it's pretty much the same, and the challenges are just a little bit, especially with the coaches trying to communicate through an interpreter. It puts 4 times the amount of time in, and you lose some of your momentum when you're trying to teach. So we have to figure out ways to demonstrate, simplify the message right now, and build on those messages.
Kind of hard. Just seeing you out there yesterday, I fell in love with baseball again. It reminded me of being on my dad's Little League team. It was so cold. It reminded me of those March pre-Little League out there practicing, and I just thought it was great. It was great to see you. I was trying